If your new patient advertising has recently taken a dip, in this video I'm going to walk you through 3 recent meta updates that may likely be having a negative impact if you're not already aware that they exist. And so today we're going to talk about 3 of the more common modern day best practices of advertising with the hopes that you can take these lessons and install them into your own clinic. Now on this channel, if you are new here, we do spend the bulk of our time talking about marketing, sales, patient acquisition strategies to ultimately drive more new patients into the clinic. Now on the channel, we share lessons from working with clinics that have exceeded revenues of $200,000 a month. Are they the biggest clinics in the world? No, they're not. But these are private cash pay facilities that are able to exceed, again, $200,000 a month in monthly collections, okay? So we don't believe by no means that you're gonna watch this one video here today and then turn around and then be making $200,000 a month. That's just not gonna really happen unless you're already very close, right? For most of you watching, you'll be able to take these lessons, apply them to your own business, and then hopefully see some significant growth from these ideas. So without further ado, we're gonna get in. If you're a returning subscriber and always checking out the channel, we appreciate you being here. And remember, we do grow organically on the channel. Obviously, we don't pay to promote this type of content. We're a fairly niche channel in that we really only talk about cash and private pay facilities. But again, if you get value from it, make sure you share it forward. We do appreciate that, and we do grow organically. So the first thing that we're going to cover in today's video is a little concept in marketing that is called, number 1, ad fatigue. So ad fatigue, okay? So what is ad fatigue? So ad fatigue is quite simple. So when you post an ad on Meta, for this example, okay? What happens when you post the ad is that ad will then go into what's called a review phase, where Meta and Facebook, if you will, they're going to be reviewing the contents of your ad, okay? They're going to be looking for the copy, the messaging in the video, the scripts. Some people even believe that Meta goes and actually looks at the next pages that you drive traffic to as well to get an idea on like what the landing page says and that kind of stuff, okay? So what it does is it starts to understand who is this ad intended to be served to, and then once it goes through review, then the ad itself begins to be served to, let's call it bucket A. So group A is a group of people that are on Facebook that Meta has deemed qualified to see our ad. And so what Meta does is they want you to get good response. They want you to get qualified leads. They want you to get a lot of leads. And so right away when you post an ad, Meta is going to serve the ad to a group of people, in this example group A, who have the highest statistical probability of resonating with the ad and then taking the action that you're hoping the viewer of the ad does. So for example, if you're running some sort of an appointment funnel, then Meta would recognize that, and then from there, they would show the ad to a group of people who are likely to respond to the message and then also go forward to scheduling an appointment. Now, once you understand that principle, you're already halfway there for ad fatigue, okay? So the next principle is when you run an ad, and when these social platforms, more importantly, show ads to their users, right? They don't want this group of people, this smaller group of people, to keep seeing the same ad over and over, okay? That's when you start to see like the frequency climb, right? So frequency, so if you start getting frequencies like 3 to 4, maybe 5, right? That means the average person is seeing the ad 3 times, right? Or if you just let the ad run for like weeks on end, then what's going to happen is Meta is going to migrate who it shows the ad to, because it doesn't want this first group of people to get bombarded with the same content over and over. That's not going to create a good platform experience for the user. The user doesn't want to see the same ad over and over. I'm sure you don't too. So what happens is even if this group is converting, inevitably it's going to migrate to a different group. And if it's not changed, it's going to go to a different group. We'll call it group C. So the problem with this is when it starts to migrate out of group A, the highest probable group to convert and be good leads, when it goes into B, you're less likely to have good quality leads. You might have a less volume of leads because it's showing it to people who are not deeming it as relevant as the initial group, okay? And this ultimately, this migration is what ad fatigue is, okay? So ad fatigue is effectively, you've run the course on that particular ad. This group of people is no longer wants to see it per Meta standards. And now we're gonna go here to serve it to a less group of people. So what you'll see is that your cost per lead goes up and your lead volume goes down. That's a weird arrow, but it goes down, okay? That's how you know you've experienced ad fatigue. So if you're watching this, that would be the first thing that I would be considering is, am I properly overcoming ad fatigue? Now from a timeline standpoint, if you're just spending tens of thousands of dollars a month in a local market, you're gonna have to be coming over ad fatigue like pretty quickly, maybe like every 3 to 5 days. If you're spending a couple grand a month in a marketplace, some markets you might have to overcome every 10 to 14 days. Other markets you might be able to run for 30 days or more without seeing notable fatigue. It does depend on, number one, how many people have been exposed to similar type of ads within that audience, and then also your total addressable market in terms of its total size, okay? But if you are seeing slower results, maybe you had ads that were working for a long time, or maybe you had a situation where the ad was just doing extremely well and you're now noticing that it's starting to decline a little bit in performance, then the first thing we would want to look at is going through an ad fatigue protocol, changing out the creative, swapping out the ad, getting it going back into that relearning phase so that ultimately we can get back in front of the right people. So again, if you're working with somebody, they're not overcoming ad fatigue, or maybe you're running your own ads and you're not overcoming your own ad fatigue, that would be the first place to start really, and just getting a refresh in, okay? Now the next topic of discussion for today is going to be what we call the Andromeda update, okay? So, Andromeda. Okay, I was pronouncing this wrong for a little while when I first heard about it. I was pronouncing it Andromeda, which is what it looks like, right? But it's Andromeda, okay? So make sure you don't get fooling like I did back there. All right, anyway, so what does this mean? This is the second topic of today. So Andromeda is basically like an AI update to Meta. And basically, here's how it works. Meta, when you run campaigns, let's call this campaign 1, they used to allow you to run one campaign, one ad set, one ad, just like one, and you would do just fine, okay? You would be able to make money on that particular behavior. Now, because of all the AI that's going on, okay, naturally this software company, Meta, has massive amounts of data, so they're able to capitalize on AI. So what they have come out and said explicitly in their engineering articles, they have detailed how they are now doing their targeting on their platform, okay? And what used to be that all the targeting was done in the ad set. You have your interest stack, your detail stack, your age, okay, your region, and then that was how you did all your targeting, and then you just served the ad there. So now, not only are they actually targeting with the ad set, they're targeting with ads as well. And because, like I mentioned in the top of the video on ad fatigue, how Meta reads all your ads and listens to your copy and understands your video scripts, right? So what they're looking for nowadays is diverse messaging, okay? So instead of running one ad that has one message, what we're seeing right now is running anywhere between 2 to 7 ads, unless you're spending a significant amount of money on ads, right? But if you're someone that's starting, you can run 2 to 7 ads, typically videos or photos, but those are all going to be unique, okay? So these are all going to be unique ads that instead of having one ad in a campaign, we're going to be putting, upwards of 7 in a campaign. Now 7 would be for a partner of ours that's maybe spending, $30,000, $40,000 a month. We might run only 2 or 3 in somebody that might be spending between 2 and 5 grand a month. If you're spending less than 2 grand a month, it doesn't really have a massive impact on you, to be clear, because you're just not spending that much money. But as soon as you start increasing your spend, that's when you start to have to increase your volume of ads. So what this platform is doing now is they're listening. Let's say you're running 7 ads, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Each one of these has their own messaging. So what that means is that Meta will then go and serve this ad with this messaging to the right person. Okay, it'll serve this ad to this person with the right messaging, right? So because Meta knows how their users engage on the platform, they have a lot of data about them. So what that means then for us is that as advertisers, we have to come up with and do exercises to ensure that we're talking about all the reasons why someone might buy a particular service or product, right? So if you have a list of reasons why somebody would buy something, and by the way, if you think people only buy something for one reason, I would encourage you to go much deeper in your own marketing research, because people buy stuff for all sorts of reasons that you might not even predict. So what we do is we'll go through a unique set of reasons, and then we'll run ads that match those reasons that appeal to a different audience, okay? So in a nutshell, you're gonna find over time, especially as you continue to scale up, you're just gonna have to increase your creative volume, okay? You're just gonna have to do more creative. Okay, again, the days of running one ad with one photo and a collage for large advertisers, again, if you're watching this and you're spending more than 10 grand a month, like, this is over for you. Like, this is not a real thing. You cannot run one ad anymore. You're gonna vaporize your money, okay? You gotta have diverse messaging, and you gotta be following also the ad fatigue procedure, which means that advertising online is becoming more and more work, okay? It's not, you're not just gonna be able to run one again. You're gonna have to run 4 to 5, maybe 6, maybe 7, right? So again, it does require more work, but if we wanna still produce the same level of results and outcome, especially at scales of ad spend, we just need to follow the best practices that are at our disposal, okay? Now the third piece, and this kind of relates back to everything, and I just wanna make everybody aware, number 3 is the future of targeting. Okay, so the future of targeting basically means the following. Again, all targeting is going to be done by the message, okay? So what this is forcing us to do is it's forcing us to become better marketers, okay? Because if we become better marketers, then we get inside of our prospect's head more, we understand how they speak about the product or service, and then we can write messaging that matches their current level of awareness, their current level of sophistication, to ultimately make sure that they are being pushed forward towards whatever company or service that we're marketing, okay? So the future of targeting is all gonna be in the messaging and your ability to create messaging, not only that resonates, okay, so resonates, but also is diverse. So what we're finding too is that we used to be able to just like run one script and then we would shoot the script again and then we would shoot it again. Maybe I'm wearing different clothes or something like that, okay? But that's not really working as well. We're finding that now you can actually sit in the same spot and like literally just spit different messages in your ads, and that's getting a better outcome than trying to change clothes and say the same script, okay? So make sure you catch that part. You can say this, wear the same clothes but say different things and get a great outcome. In contrast, we used to say the same thing but wear different stuff and we would get good outcomes, okay? So again, it just goes back to the targeting is all being related back to the messaging in the ad. These platforms are much smarter than we think they are, okay? Remembering that, you know, Meta alone has over 50,000 data points for every user, okay? So like it knows who to serve the ad to, it knows who's probable to respond. So not only does it have all the user data, it has all the data from the advertisers as well who are spending, I mean, you know, Meta does, you know, billions a quarter, right? So at the end of the day, they have data. And if you're watching this, it's likely that 3 things are occurring that if you're not getting the advertising results that you're looking for. Number 1, you're not overcoming ad fatigue. You've been running the same creative forever and you're playing the lazy cat advertiser and just not doing the work. That's why you're not getting the outcome, okay? Second piece is you may not be following best practices for creative volume, okay? Maybe you are watching this video and your organization is spending between 10 to maybe 20,000 a month as an example, but you're only running a couple different ads. Or maybe you're not even overcoming ad fatigue and you're only running a couple ads. You see, so now you start stacking these best practices in the negative reverse and you're not gonna get a result, okay? So you have to run a lot of creative volume. You have to keep up with that creative volume. It will burn out, especially for a brick and mortar facility, okay? And then you also just have to become aware that in the messaging, that is who you're gonna get in front of. So like become meticulous about your messaging. Don't become selfish. Become meticulous in understanding who are we trying to get this ad in front of, how are they currently thinking about their challenge, how aware are they of other solutions, and have they tried other solutions in the past to where they're a little bit more skeptical at a higher degree of sophistication, which means we have to show more of the process, okay? So in a different video in the upcoming, I'll actually talk to you guys about the levels of sophistication and awareness and that kind of stuff. But just for now, just remember that messaging is going to be in control. And so if you got value from this video, make sure you like, subscribe. We are putting out a video, at least one video a week right now, to be clear. I'd like to get it to the point where we're putting out 2, but right now we're doing 1 a week. And if you want to have a different conversation and a deeper conversation rather with us, maybe about your advertising or your current strategies or your current efforts, and maybe you even have something that's working, but you just want to see if you can take it to the next level, I'll leave a link in the description below for you to book on with me and my team. And we can just have an honest discussion to see where your ads are at and then see if we can find any holes. If you're doing it yourself, we can certainly give you guidance. We've got some different solutions for you too to help take your skills to the next level. And if you maybe want to have somebody come in and do it for you to like buy back time and kind of just bring in-house some of our best practices, we can certainly explore that opportunity as well. So I appreciate you guys being here. Hope you guys got value from this. As I always say, the biggest insult you can give me is not take action. So make sure you watch this video. If you took notes, that's great. Now put an action plan together to overcome these things, get with the best practices, and I know that you're going to see a better result. Okay, I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.